All right, and we're off for part 2 here of our Zoo Crew Redo podcast. Andy Lindahl, Scott Hastings, as usual, now on Scott's Twitter.
Are we live on my Twitter?
Live on your Twitter. Hello, Scott's Twitter.
You are technical.
At times, yeah.
Not bad. I mean, I'm being very serious. I'm pretty impressed.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Hey, the more you can do.
You're one of the best in the world. Yeah.
The world. All right, so Nate and I were having, by the way, before we get into this, because I always like to tie into a little bit of a sports discussion, and people love to hear your stories. I'm tired of them, but
yeah,
they like them. So
you've heard enough. I'm sick of it. God, let me smoke a cigar while I get into this one. This is one about Dominique and the Fox Code. Okay.
You fought Barkley. We all know. Have some new crap happen. Real quickly, by the way, so I'd said this at the end of the show. I'm going to repeat it for the folks on Scott's Twitter. Scott knows this. Do us a favor. If you're going to eat out over the next couple days, and, you know, the restaurant, it's takeout. But if you're going to do that, and I get some people can't, but if you are, do the two of us a favor.
In
please,
the Littleton area.
No, just all over
any
Colorado.
Place. Yeah.
We got a lot of friends everywhere. Please eat locally. Please try to go help your small business friends. Please try to eat at the places where you know the owner lives in this neighborhood. They're relying on it for a paycheck. Because I talked to a couple of my guys, and judging by Twitter, things are going great, but they admitted to me it's getting scary. Because a lot of these places, they do their business off you sitting in the restaurant, which obviously they can't do, and so they're trying to make it off the takeout thing, but especially for our local folks, they can't do it. So whether it's our guys that we're usually at Southside Pizzeria in Littleton off Chatfield and Wadsworth, please go hook them up. Go to Big Bill's Pizza.
Yeah. Who does so much in the community.
Go to GQ Barbecue if you're near Park Meadows or in Westminster. That's my guy Jason Ganal. The Blake Street Tavern downtown. Post Oak Barbecues off Tennyson in my old neighborhood. They're great. Woody's Woodfire Pizza. John Bortles owns that. His wife used to be a cheerleader. We all had a great party after Super Bowl 50. So go help those folks out. That's a younger family. Help me out. Any of the other, Hofbrau up in Westminster, Sunset Cafe or Sunset, the Sunset Grill.
The Sunset Grill.
Not far from
there.
Bill's.
Remember that place. Yeah.
So let's go there. Just your favorite local hangout, please. It just means so much to them. And there's nothing against the corporations. We need the corporations to keep things going. But the corporations right now are going to be okay longer than our small guys. So please help your local restaurant.
Well said.
Anyway. All right, let's get into it. So we were having Flash. that guy might have to come out here tonight. Okay, so Nate and I were trying to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to do the Avalanche tomorrow and the Nuggets Thursday, Broncos Friday. But we decided to do an all-time team, and we did the Rockies today. But it's a different deal. It's your favorite all-time team, not the best players necessarily, not the thing where the stats said, oh, this guy over. Just your favorite, the dude you loved watching. Maybe you just got to know a guy. Your favorite team from all time for the Rockies.
You're asking me to come up with names, and I'm terrible with
names.
But
I may jog some of your memories. So I'll give you mine. Yeah, I'll give you mine.
Why do you get to go first?
Well, so I give you time to think because I already did my thinking. I'm trying to give you time to buy a little time.
No, I can think of guys. I'm trying to think of their names.
And again, maybe this will help you. I could go back to my Twitter. I'll just go first base, Andres Galarraga, and don't react till we're done because you'll probably have some reaction to some of this. First base for me was Andres Galarraga because I love the big cat. Second base was Mike Lansing. Shortstop, no matter how you felt about him, has to be, in my mind, Troy Tulowitzki.
I have a Mike. I drank with him one night.
Well, I figured you'd have a story.
Don't really want to tell about that story.
Well, all right. But we got Mike Lansing, then Troy Tulowitzki, because it just, look, I loved watching that guy play. Did I hate the way it ended? I did.
Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead.
That's fine.
All right.
That's why you get a chance to name yours. Third base got to be Nolan Arenado.
Doesn't have to be over Vinny Castilla.
Well, see, people want to argue that.
So are you talking about your favorite? Or you're talking about your
my favorite
or your best player?
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
But
how can you not like Vinny?
I got nothing against Vinny. He's one
like
B.
you got something against Vinny.
I'd love me some Nolan
I think
Arenado.
you got something against Vinny.
Nolan Arenado's incredible.
Okay.
I got a man crush on Nolan Arenado. I'm gonna be enraged if he doesn't stay here.
Pick all the stars. Good for you.
So in the outfield, I'll go in left field. I'm going to go with Matt Holliday. In center field, I'll go with Cargo. In right field, I'll go with Larry Walker. And then at catcher, I'm going to go Joe Girardi. And then my starting pitcher, just because it was fun and I liked the guy, was Pedro Estacio.
I like Pedro too. All right, so
and my closer was Houston Street.
I'm going to go. My favorite. I'm going to Helton at first.
Okay.
I got to know him a little bit, so
yeah, you guys were tight.
Yeah, so I like Todd a lot.
And it's hard for me not to put Todd there, but I mean, you saw Big Cat a little bit.
Second base,
Big Cat was a great guy.
I think I'm going to go with EY at second base.
I like to see. I didn't think about that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with EY at second base. Let me think on shortstop. If you're talking about favorite player, I might have to go with Walt Weiss.
Okay,
because
I love
Walt. I love.
Wasn't he an all-star here? The dude was a really good player.
But his favorite player. But it's guys I kind of got to know. All three of those guys I had a chance to. Vinny Castilla. Even to this day, he's one of the great interviews to ever get on. Always got a smile on his face. Arenado's a much better player, but give me Vinny Castilla. Catcher, probably Joe. I used to do stuff with Joe. We did Ream commercials together for a year when he was still playing. So Joe probably there. Now here's where I'm going to need your help at pitching. Burks with the guy that pitched at Cherry Creek.
Oh, right. John Thompson. Ellis Burks was the outfielder.
Well, I know Ellis Burks, but don't know there was that one John Thompson. You're thinking the red-haired guy. I'm talking. There was a Thompson.
Right.
Dark-haired guy.
Right.
Funny stuff. But there was God, he's going to kill me. I can look it up on my phone, but it's on Facebook or Twitter.
What's the last name?
I think it was Burks.
A pitcher?
Burke.
Burke?
Yeah, I'm almost positive. And he pitched at Cherry Creek. Local kid. Sells medical supplies in Colorado still.
Okay, I got to look it up.
Look it up right there. Okay.
Burke?
Yeah, Burke. Left field, I'm probably going with Dante.
BRK or BRKE?
BURK, I believe.
Okay, keep going. You're going with Dante.
Although, what was that other pitcher, the old grizzled guy that came from Montreal?
Bohannon. Brian Bohannon, I thought about John Burke. Was that
John
it?
Burke.
Okay, there he is.
John Burke.
All right, there you go.
Pitched at Cherry Creek.
Good for you. Yeah,
and, and he still lives in the area.
Okay.
Okay. And John was had a fun night with you one time, didn't I, big fella down in Tucson?
Well, let's not get anybody in trouble now.
Yeah. As one of the GMs of the Rockies watching this going, ooh.
Yeah. Hey.
I'll probably go with Dante because I got to know him a little bit too. I mean, biased, but guys I got to know. I might go Ellis Burks in center field.
Ellis was good, man. Ellis was a good player.
I loved Ellis.
Even over like a Fowler or a Juan Pierre or Charlie Blackmon.
I love me a Charlie Blackmon. I don't know him. I know Ellis a little bit, but Charlie I don't know personally. But anybody that goes out and hits the streams and fishes a little bit and then goes back
That's your dude.
And plays a game that night, drives old pickups and Broncos to the game, and everybody else has got Ferraris. Kind of my dude, kind of my guy. So right there, I could give it Ellis Burks or Charlie Blackmon. I kind of like me some Charlie, and Larry Walker.
Can't leave him out, can you?
No, because not only was he a great player, I mean, in Hall of Famer now, right? I mean, not only is a great player, the dude just he played it. We're as serious as Nolan Arenado seems to take it and as compulsive as his preparation and play. To me, Larry was the old throw by, hey, boys, listen, we got to shut this thing down at 4 a.m. because we got a game that kicks off at 7.
I need at least a nap.
I want to at least take a nap if we don't. So he's the one guy that's ever played with the Rockies that had was that throwback guy, So I probably him, and plus he was a great player. I mean, come on.
Oh, come on, yeah.
So I didn't just throw out stars.
Okay, that's fine. Take whatever shots you want to. I love watching Matt Holliday play the game. I love watching Cargo play the game. I love watching
listen,
Troy.
I tell you what, for right field, Larry Walker, Cargo, man, that's a tough. tough.
Well, that's why I put Cargo in center. But, look, like you're right. Then there's Ellis Burks. There's, we could go on. Hey, man, Brad Hopp was a fun player once upon a time.
Cargo might be one of my all-time favorite players.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I like him.
Yeah, he might be one of my all-time favorites.
But if we're going off favorites, like I could throw a Chad Bettis out there. I love Chad Bettis, man. Chad Bettis, was he a great pitcher? Not all the time. But I'll tell you what, hell of a story. Comes back from battling cancer and was always just – I remember he had a perfect game going in Philly. Perfect game going in Philly. And this is when I was doing the post-game show on KOA. So I have to get my car and drive to the stadium because he's mowing down the Phillies at this point. I'm like, well, you know how it is. You got to make sure you leave enough time to get there. Maybe you don't. You're not post-game bitch like I was. But I
was with the Broncos.
Oh, well, then you got to make sure you're there when the game's done. So anyway, I get my car, and right as I get my car, I put a tweet that just says, maybe you want to pay attention to what's going on in the Rockies game, trying to be cheeky about it. And not any sooner did I send the tweet that I turn on my car and he gives up his hit. Or no, he gave up a walk. He gave up a walk because he lost the perfect game, but he still got the no-no going, right? And then the no-no goes away and whatever. And, they end up winning the game. But I get him on after the game, and I told him I thought I hexed him. And he had a good laugh about it. You know what I mean? All I really ask out of an athlete, and I get it, not always is the right time, but just please show us, because in turn it shows the fans, just give me a little of your personality.
All right, so give me this, and since we'll go there, and I'm going to expand this now a little bit, and you talked about all the post-game interviews that you've done. Your all-time favorite count-on guy that you could talk to.
Wow. God, there's so many of them. Dude, a lot of the Broncos were so good to me. If I'm picking a Rocky, it'd be probably between Michael Kadire or Darryl Hamilton. Remember him?
Yeah.
Darryl was a true professional. One of the funniest stories I have as an intern. I was an intern for you guys. I think I told you about it. This was the first Big Brother moment, I think, for you. You may not remember it. But I told you guys about it because they sent me as an intern like you have to do. I went to a Rockies game in September in '99 when the old guy, the old grizzled dude.
The dude that came from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that guy.
Sucked.
Yeah.
Jim Leland.
Jim Leland is there. Grumpy old bastard Jim Leland. So I go into the clubhouse, and, they got boat raced by, I think it was the Reds. It might have been I don't even know who it was. They got smoked. It was like a softball game for one team. Rockies couldn't do anything. So the only guy that did anything that day was Kurt Abbott, the second baseman. So I go into the clubhouse, and this is, for those that don't know, as an intern, I'm terrified. The writers are the only ones in there. Bronco season has started. There's no TV people because they're out at Bronco practice that day. That's why I got sent. And all my job was supposed to be is just go stick the mic in a pile, and get some audio so we can play some cuts on an update. So, the writers are giving you this look like, hey, dude, this is, so I kind of...
You're coming into hollow ground.
Right. This is my interview. Don't be sticking your mic in on it. So I was like, I'm going to have to go ask my own questions. And again, not a thing went right for them. So I go up to Kurt Abbott, the second baseman, because he at least drove a couple runs in. And he's got his head down, and he's sitting like this at the locker. I go, Mr. Abbott, can I ask you a few questions? And I'm playing it up for those on the Twitter. He looks up and he goes, why? Why? Bleepity, bleepity, bleep. Would you want to bleepity talk to me? Why would I bleep it? He's yelling. He's undressing me. He's blowing up. And I just did the Costanza, the George Costanza, like when he's talking to Steinbrenner. I just turned around and I quietly walked out of the clubhouse. And he yelled at me till I left the double doors. I was in the hallway. I still heard him dog cussing me. This dumbass wants to talk to me. That's the worst game of the year. So I went to the opposing clubhouse and just stuck my mic in wherever I could.
Is Pete Rose here?
Yeah, I just was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, Darryl Hamilton was on that team. And as I was heading out, he came out. He goes, "Hey, young man, come here." And he's like, "Look, he's like, it's been a bad year. Can I give you a couple?" And Darryl,
After that, hey, that's a good dude, man.
Hey, well,
that's a good dude.
He was a consummate professional. And of course, they traded him later in the year. So I always appreciated Darryl Hamilton doing that. But Kadire was always good, good, bad. I will tell you this: I put Houston Street on that list. Houston Street after the blown save in Philly. stood there for 45 minutes and took everybody's question about how he screwed up the Rockies' playoff chances. And I mean, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Got asked the same question over and over because I was there as he first came out of the shower. He didn't make us wait. He came out 5 minutes after the game. He stood at his locker, and he started in with how I screwed it up for everybody. And again, as I left the clubhouse, because this is one of those final times, so you're grabbing as much audio as you can, 45 minutes later, I took a peek over there. Dude was still at his locker answering the same damn question. And I thought that right there that's a man. That's a stand-up guy. As a fan, you can be as mad at him as you want. I've never seen a more professional act than that. When it comes,
you know, I thought in the Broncos, see if you had the same experience. Now, I was doing color and then would go down early and then be the first in the locker room. Rod Smith was always that, win or lose.
Yeah.
Rod Smith was always. Now, I mean, he'd get hard. I mean, not on you, but I mean,
he's going to tell you how it was.
He's going to tell how that was. I always thought he was good, and I got to work with Alfred later. I thought Alfred was always good. Now, I always made fun of Alfred because he was such a great interview when he was up. But like the first 5 minutes like that, because you know how they come in waves.
Right.
With Alfred, you want to be in the second wave. Because after the game was over, this is one of those dudes, when Alfred Williams played, Alfred Williams gave it everything. And when he came in, he was an emotional ball of jello. And he's in his locker room. And I'm like, dude, that's not Al. And so you let everybody go, and then you come back and go, hey, then all of a sudden he's back up. You know, but that first 10 minutes after locker room,
right?
he needed that time. And you learn that stuff when you're in the same locker room over and over and over. I'll tell you another funny about our good friend Stink. We got to FaceTime Stink for today's show.
We will. He ain't up. You know he ain't up.
Does he go to bed early?
Dude, yeah, he's got the morning show.
Oh, that's right.
And he's an old man. He went old man bedtime.
He went old man when he was still playing.
He was young.
Yeah, when he played. Which is funny thing. He goes, well, isn't it hard doing a morning show? I used to talk to Stink because we did the Mark Schlereth show when he was still playing. But it was so funny because it was after the Super Bowls, you know, when none of the offensive line talked. And I would always go Fridays for my interviews for the game day. And then I'd go in the locker room, and Stink and I would play darts, and Tommy and all these guys got to know Abib real well. And we'd always hang in there. But I never interviewed him. I just sit there and we just shoot the breeze. But Schlereth, now this 2-3 years past, still on the team, he signed on, got sponsored to get paid to get interviewed after every game. And he would, come in, I'd make eye contact because it was still kind of against the code a little bit. And we'd make eye contact. He'd go like this, or he'd grab me by the arm, and he'd pull me over. And we'd go like 3 lockers over to where the wide receivers were. They're all talking, right? All the receivers. They
blend in.
They in a microphone, and they'd come over and go, well, yeah, actually. But we were in a game, I don't know, where San Diego or somebody lost. Yeah, but he'd always do it. But he was getting paid that year, right?
Right.
But he'd always make me take him somewhere so that no one could see him being interviewed.
Some of the guys that get paid wouldn't always do it. We had some struggles with some. I'll just put it to you that way.
No, there was some. You know who else was a stand-up interview guy? And I got to do him after every game he was here? Jake Plummer.
Oh, yeah.
Jake Plummer was always stand-up, man. I always appreciate that. Jake Plummer was always stand-up.
The guy that struck me, so after the Super Bowl, Pot Roast was the only one in New York that talked to me, Terrence Knighton, and I always appreciated that. Because
Did you stay for the game? You were there for
Oh, yeah, I was on the field the whole time.
How soon did that game start? Did you wish that you were anywhere else in the world besides on the field in New York?
Well,
Super Bowl 48.
I do remember after the snap
over the
head.
I have an impression of John Fox from about 45 seconds into that Super Bowl. Right, you want to see it?
That was the rest of the game.
Rest of the game. I talked to one of the coaches one time. He was like, we kept looking at him like, rally the troops.
Do something? Yeah, he was, so the snap goes over Peyton's head, and I remember thinking, well, that's not how you want to start this thing. And then I remember Dave and 50 going, like the first play was a completed pass, and Dave looks at Eddie and goes, well, we're already off to a better start than we were in 48. So there was something kind of foreboding about that first snap, but the offense was so good that I thought, okay, I really didn't give up on the game. I can laugh at it now. I went up the elevator at halftime because, Bruno Mars was going to do his thing, and I had to host the extended halftime show. And so I got caught I got in the elevator with Terrell Davis by pure coincidence. And I'd done a lot of NFL Network stuff with TD that year because the Broncos were such a story and they were using me left and right. And I sat with Terrell at, a media day. It still kind of sounds silly that that's who I'm talking about, but whatever. So he got to know me a little bit is the point. We're riding up, and I'll never forget Terrell.
We should FaceTime him on the show someday.
Well, Terrell, we're coming for you. Not this late, though.
He's in the West Coast.
I get it, but that's the hot girl that I'd like to give some warning to. I don't know that we just roll up on Terrell.
You're probably your ideals on this are a little skewed. That it's probably the hot girl you might want to sneak up on.
Yeah, you just want to surprise and see what happens.
Yeah. It's the one you can bring a pizza with you to.
Sure.
That's what, hey, I'm coming over with the pizza. All right, see you in 5 minutes. All right.
Fair enough. But Terrell was telling me on the elevator ride up, he goes, Andy, this, and he's just cussed a little. He goes, this running game ain't going to get it done. We need to have a real running game. We need to punch him in the mouth. He's talking about the adjustments that we need that he didn't think they were capable of. But I'm still going, okay, if they get a stop here on the kickoff and just get one touchdown, we're okay.
Yeah,
and
you're back in it.
Yes, and I walked right I came out of the tunnel as what's-his-name went, whoop, that returner for
Game
Seattle,
over.
And then I was like, we're done. Oh, my God.
I was at Buddy's house in the basement. He had a great, proud of it, one of those proud of basements, and he should be. I mean, the bathroom in there would be – most people's master suites aren't that nice. That's how nice it was. Man, as soon as that happened to kick, because I'm the one guy, everybody else is, I said, no, all you got to do, you stop him here and score, and you're right back in. You win the second half, you win this game. All right, let's do some shots. Next thing I know, we're doing
Percy Harvin.
I don't remember seeing the last 35 minutes of actual game time after that.
Well, I like it. Pot roast after that one was great. You keep talking. You know who I loved? My favorite dude was Malik Jackson.
I love Malik Jackson.
He would give me one shit a broadcast, or I'd be like, Malik, you're killing me. Stop saying that on the air, man. You're going to get us both in trouble. You know who always was great to me was Derek Wolfe. I always appreciated Brian Dawkins. He was always good to me. Chris Harris Jr., of course, he was awesome.
What did you get DeMarcus Ware? Did you get any time to sit down with DeMarcus?
Yeah, you know what? He gave me the interview before the Super Bowl. So I had to do 2 pre-game interviews before 50, and one was my guy Chris Harris, who was my show. But then I said I'd like to talk to DeMarcus because it was a special occasion, and so he, Champ was that way too. Champ was like, don't bother me all the time, but if you pick your spots, man, let's do it. I got to talk to him after the AFC Championship before the Seattle game. But, yeah, dude, DeMarcus was the best. But I liked, honestly. Mario Hagan was always good. Ryan Harris was always good.
Let me ask
CJ.
You another question. And because it just made me think about when you talk about Champ and how his career ended, that 48 loss, really.
Yeah,
right?
it's terrible.
And wasn't the guy he once was before the foot and all this stuff. The two ends of the spectrum, John Elway, Champ Bailey, both Hall of Famers, but two ends of the spectrum, how great careers ended. I mean, would that be the prime example?
Yeah.
Losing in the Super Bowl, half the player you were because your injury. Basically.
And everyone watching knows on your best day, Doug Baldwin ain't doing nothing
on you.
Nothing, with all due respect. That is Champ freaking Bailey, man. But you could tell the Liz Frank, I think we all knew was probably done. Champ was just the guy. He just was so professional to everybody in the locker room that you just were pulling for the dude. And look, I got Bronco. I never lie about it. I'm always pulling for this team. I am a cauldron of anger when they're losing. There was a lot of holding some emotions back the last 3 years that I had being on, or 2 years on the sideline. But, look, who I also loved, and again, people get on me, but you know about this. You'd like a guy that everybody else kind of is against. Trevor Siemian was such a good dude to me. And if the public
cheered for him.
I wanted him. Well, I never understood, why are we not rooting? This dude defines underdog. He was a 7th-round draft choice. And maybe he's not the sexiest thing out there, but he won you some games. If Benny Fowler holds on to a pass,
he was a better player than people gave credit
yes,
to.
And frankly would have been the perfect backup for a long time. He should have been the backup here as long as he wanted to be, right? He could go in there and win you some games.
He should have been Gary Kubiak.
Yeah, frankly. Or your Case Keenum. Case Keenum's a great backup. He's not a starter.
No.
So I don't know. I like. I don't know what to say. I'm
Keenum
so lucky.
Just signed like another $17 million contract.
Who did?
Keenum.
I know. Well, it's a good it's a good life of a backup quarterback. Yeah. Look, man, I know you're this way. The Bronco guys were just always so good to me. There are a couple dudes I knew don't bother Aqib on the wrong game, but not even because Aqib would be bad. I just thought the wrong words might come out. TJ Ward is scary. I think I told the story the one time where TJ was getting on the offense after a certain game, and you know the drill. I was in there waiting to hand Trevor the headset and stuff for Dave's interview with him, and so TJ, I mean, undresses the offense with how he did not think they were tough enough. That it was after the San Diego. I guess I don't know why I'm being coy about it. It was after that night they first wore the stupid color rushes, and Trevor's got like a third head growing on his shoulder because he's so screwed up, and he gets done letting him know what he thought about that effort tonight and how it wasn't tough enough, and then he gave me that look like, and you better not say a thing. I was just like, yes, sir.
First time you did it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say anything to him. But TJ was always good. My point being, TJ could be so intimidating, but he was a good interview when he talked to you. Darian Stewart was awesome. I don't know, other than the guys, I think we all got a little tired sometimes of the offensive line game and we don't talk to you. But like Ryan Clady, man. Ryan Clady was a great interview. I want you to pass your knowledge on to me. I like talking to Ben Hamilton. I like talking to Chris Cooper. When you got them to talk, they were good. Frankly, even as grumpy as he was, even Tom Nalen cut me a break one time. Did you ever you didn't have any guys that were bad about it, did you?
No. I know, what was the one receiver that came over here from San Diego, the fast guy?
Yeah, Anthony Miller.
He tried to give Dave Logan when Dave was doing the color and would go down the locker room. And I guess David said something on the radio show that he'd heard or whatever.
Didn't like it.
And was just ignoring him. And Dave. Dave also one of those guys, you probably don't want to get his dander up.
No.
And so
Dave will have a conversation with you.
Yeah. So Dave basically said to Anthony Miller, said, listen, I don't give a if you come on or not, but you could respect me enough to give me an answer. And meanwhile, he said, I'm getting counted down 3, 2, go, Dave. And finally goes, well, we're here with Anthony Miller. We'll see if he'll talk to us. He said, came back and said the interview was great, but he had to say something to him. So,
well, I had that happen.
He was a hell of a player that people forget about.
He was, but his better years were in San Diego.
True,
than here.
but I mean, he still had an 18-catch game.
Oh yeah,
or something like that for Denver.
Yeah. He look, people forget. I mean, the Broncos one year were this close. The Raiders let it ride for a week. They were this close to getting Tim Brown. And then once they matched that offer, I think that's when they went and signed Anthony Miller. You want to do
some inside stuff? 1 year, and I don't know what year it was, but I believe it was the Ty Lawson-led years, so somewhere between 12 and 16 or 15 or whatever it was. I believe, and the years just keep coming by.
They all run together.
They were about that close to get Grant Hill here.
Oh, man.
And they tried, they thought that young team needed an experienced veteran guy, Hall of Famer now, to come in there and if nothing more, still play a little bit, but the locker room and they tried to push mountains to get Grant Hill here.
Well, you may not remember the Broncos one year were close to getting Bruce Smith and Buffalo matched at the last minute, but remember it goes the other way too. Where the Broncos, I think you knew this too. You were covering the team, I think, where Mike Shanahan was this close to trading Shannon Sharp for Eric Swan, and then it kind of fell apart. Could you imagine?
But you know why Mike had a problem with Shannon, as I understand it, and kind of reading between sentences and lines, that Shannon always worked out on his own.
Right.
Now, he made a big deal. I don't worry about Shannon. He's always in shape. But Mike was big on guys staying in the summertime so they could keep tabs on him, work out in the gym there and all this stuff. Shannon's season would go over, a week or two. He was gone to Georgia. Now, if you ever saw Shannon, he was never out of shape.
No.
I mean, he was putting his work in.
He might have been too yoked up.
Yeah, he was putting his work in, but I think that always bothered him about Shannon.
Yeah, because Mike liked the control, But do you have anybody else that we were close to for the deal? I mean, The famous one is Dan Reeves getting ready to trade John Elway to Washington, and Pat Bowlen said, nope, no thank you.
I'm not going to do that. Did you see on Twitter, by the way, the other day, and someone had put it up there and said, for those of you who don't remember, there's a lot of young Bronco fans who only know John Elway, general manager.
Yep.
And somebody put up on this highlight reel, and I don't know if you, I caught myself.
We watched it
I went
together.
back and watched it 2 or 3 times. And we watched it here last week.
Yeah.
Has people forgot how great he was?
Yes.
I mean,
honestly, yes. This is why I joke about this. I know a lot of people out there do joke about it that are Bronco fans. John was my childhood quarterback, and the first memory that I had of watching a quarterback play, I just thought that was a quarterback. What do you mean you don't have another one of these?
Yeah.
What do you mean they're not all put together like this?
Guys,
What do you mean you can't run to this side of the 20 and throw it 50, 60 yards on the fly to the receiver on the other? I mean, John Elway, you ought to go back and we ought to do a compilation of the guy's throws where he ran to one side of the field, and I promise you the DBs thought he don't have enough arm to get it to the dude over there. We're going to leave him open.
Yeah,
he ain't in play anymore.
We'll cheat center a little bit because, I'm already 40 yards down. There's no way.
He ain't got enough arm. Oh, yeah, he does.
Go back and watch the highlights. I mean, his highlight, because we had this discussion. He goes, well, Tom Brady's the greatest that's ever played. And I'm like, well, I mean, he's the greatest winner. You can't argue the 6 rings, and I get that part of it. But if you were going to build a pro quarterback, would you build Tom Brady?
No.
See, I don't think I would either.
You would build John. I guess you would like John to maybe get some of the finer points of an offense. I guess early on,
like Peyton. Yeah, early on.
But
he was a flamethrower early on.
Yeah, but also he had Reeves. Reeves was the classic run the damn ball, let the defense, and then at the last few minutes, John go be John. Yeah. Like if John was in the Bill Walsh system, I think it's a legit question. Where does John finish with the numbers if he's playing for Bill Walsh?
Oh my God!
Who would just let him throw the ball?
Forget Bill Walsh. How about if Shanahan would have been here for John's entire career?
Hey man, Shanahan a couple stints of offensive coordinator, and they ended up in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's look, John. We forget the greatness of Terrell Davis. We forget the greatness of Barry Sanders. We forget the.
I watched a film on Barry Sanders the other day, and I was like going, "Oh, I forgot."
Do you know who
I forgot?
I marvel at is Walter Payton. Go watch some old Walter. Man, that dude. He sees you coming. He's lining up. I mean, he's getting ready to. He wants to inflict pain on you.
Yeah, he's trying to hit you.
He was an angry, violent runner.
Yeah, and tiptoe runner. Boy, he could. Yeah, and you know what? And part of the game, as we've got a gentler, kinder, worry about health. Not saying anything could get that. Not trying to say let's get back to where we're ending guys' careers with one hit or anything like that. But there is a toughness factor that a running game brought, and I don't know if you're going to see Walter Paytons anymore. I don't know if you're going to see Barry Sanders, and even in Emmitt Smith, who people kind of chide him because he had one of the greatest offensive lines for his career. Great. There was also a game he had a bruised shoulder, and he's going in there hunkering down on 3rd and 1s and running up the middle, lowering that shoulder to hit people.
You know what I don't know that we'll see in the NFL ever again is it truly a couple. Now, it got a little bit boring because I do enjoy the parody of today because everyone's got a shot. But you remember the Cowboys-Niners battles?
Oh, yeah.
Those were 2 great teams that you knew.
And before that, the Niners-Giants.
Yeah, Niners-Cowboys, Niners-Steelers, Dallas. I mean, look, it was a lot of fun. It was – I agree with you. We are such victims of the moment. Like everything has to be the greatest or a classic, or we're in a modern time where we don't let anything just breathe for a minute and then let's go back and revisit it, right? So, by the way, real quick, if anybody's looking for something to watch, because we were talking about that our first part of this episode, Peyton's Places they're doing a Peyton's Places marathon on ESPN2. I'm DVRing all of them. I will be watching.
I've watched about 4 of them, 5 of them. They're hilarious.
Oh, I love them.
I think they're outstanding.
By the way, they had the Avs 2001 Game 7 on today. Golly, the TV was crappy back then.
When they beat the Devils?
Yes. I had it on the TV, man. It was like the ice was blinding me. It was so white because it wasn't HD TV, man. It was just so bad. We were talking about that on the show today, too. You ever go back and look at some of those graphics of the 80s?
Oh, yeah. They're horrible. They're hilarious. They're hilarious. You know what the game they should show, and I know Game 7's big, and you get to see Ray Bork hold the cup and all that stuff, which is a great Colorado moment.
Game 6?
But the way Game 6, the way Patrick Wall played in Game 6.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, that's one of the greatest goalie performances. And maybe we'll have people on Avs, if you want to tweet us out, tweet me out. Is there a better goalie performance in Game 6 on the road?
Dude,
the importance of the game. You're down 3-2. And what he did in that Game 6.
Patrick Waugh. If you do a Mount Rushmore of sports heroes in this town, he's got to be on it, dude. That dude. There are so many games.
I don't think
he
you
just
can do 4.
No, I agree with you. You'd have to make a couple mountains around the city. You might have to do one for each franchise, frankly, if you're being right about it. But you
probably could. You probably could do one for each franchise.
Easily.
And the biggest struggle, and I hate saying it because I'm a basketball guy, probably the Nuggets would be the easiest to do.
Probably. But they still, look, they have some, we talk about underappreciated. They got made fun of. I'll just speak honestly about it. They got made fun of in the late 80s because they were a bunch of white dudes running around. But they had some underrated teams, I loved watching Fat Lever. I loved watching Alex English. I love me a little Calvin Nat when it comes to toughness. Now, you may have some history that you don't like the dude.
No, I love Calvin.
I love me some Calvin Nat. Blair Rasmussen, Danny Shays, Todd Lick.
They sucked.
Fair enough. But Fat Lever, Mike Adams, the 3-point shooter. He had the weird kind of shot.
There was a great article that Mike Monroe in San Antonio on The Athletic wrote how Doug Moe and bringing in Michael Adams and saying, I want you shooting threes, was basically the precursor of the style of basketball played today.
Well,
and he credited Doug Moe.
But as we throw that out there, you could have a little debate for the Mount Rushmore for them.
I think it'd be a lot easier. I mean, hockey. I mean, does Bork go on there?
Right.
In a season and a half?
What about
Patrick
Blake?
Wall,
compared to Foot?
Does Foot?
Foot's got
to be on there. Sakic and Forsberg got to.
But what about McKinnon? What about Hayduk?
That's what I'm saying.
What about Drury?
I mean, you've got a lot of guys. Chris Drury, another one of those underappreciated break in case the playoffs have started players.
Oh, they should have never traded him.
Right?
Such a mistake. By the way, what about Landeskog? You want to talk about underappreciated in his day? All Gabe Landeskog does is take that big old Scandinavian, Swedish body, whatever it is, and go plant it in front of the crease and knock home the dirty.
Guys you've ever seen.
Look, he's a handsome god of thunder there, Mr. Thor with the hammer. We'll never be that pretty. He don't have to worry about being too fat for a mustache.
Are you too fat for a mustache or too fat for a beard?
Too fat for my own liking. Okay?
Well, there you go. Okay.
Stupid.
Well said.
Stupid.
But see, there's too many abs. Football.
Oh, the Broncos, good luck.
You put Peyton Manning on it? Do you Shannon Sharp?
Peyton Manning took you to 2 Super Bowls. He's got to be on there. Yeah. TD's got to be on there.
Yeah. Shannon Sharp?
Yeah. Probably, yeah.
I mean,
when
he left,
Smith?
He was the greatest quarterback that ever played.
Bailey? Louis Wright?
I mean, yeah. See,
Tom Jackson?
See, it's like a whole
Mecklenburg?
It's like a whole mountain range.
Yeah.
The Broncos have a whole.
It's just faces everywhere.
It's why the fan does all football because it's a mountain range of face on there. Nuggets.
Dude, even the Rockies. Think about the Rockies. We talked about some tonight. A Galarraga, a Helton, a Walker. You could go in with Troy and with Arenado.
There are no pitchers on that.
No.
There are no pitchers on the Mount Rushmore of Rockies.
No.
I mean, the close would be a Baldo.
Yeah, but that when was that? 2 years?
You're not on there. Yeah, I mean the Rockies you'd have quite a bit, but I'm telling you, Nuggets, Dikembe,
yeah. Well,
Dan Issel, Alex English.
What about LaFonso? What about Carmelo?
No.
Chauncey. What about Chauncey?
But is there a length of time? Kind of like a Ray Bork.
No, I know, but
I mean,
I know
a couple of years.
I know. What about Allen Iverson? He didn't win much with him, but what about a Kenya Martin?
Well, Nikola Jokic? No, Kenya Martin. Not no, but hell no. I'm sorry. I'll probably get in trouble. I don't get the infatuation.
Fair enough. Me. I'm asking you. I'm looking
Nikola
at the expert.
Nikola Jokic on his way of climbing up.
Nikola's got to be right.
Climbing his way up there.
MPJ? We were having a good talk.
Yeah. Yeah, then all of a sudden,
you got to go
all
up
of
and
a
open
sudden
the barn
man's foot,
door.
you realize it really stinks.
All right, we got to wrap it up. We'll do this again next week, maybe later this week. We don't know. Thanks for joining us. Remember, shop local. Go see our guys at Southside Pizzeria, even though we can't be there right now. And wherever your local hangout is.
Support your local people, please.
Bye.
And thank you.